Well, for more on brands and the election, I spoke to Maisie Antoniello. She's the Vice President of Marketing at the Jones Soda Company. And she begins by talking about what Jones Soda is doing in terms of voter registration and the results so far.
So we've been around for about 25 years. We consider ourselves the original craft soda. And what was unique about us is that our labels, if you ever see them in market, have consumer-generated photos on the labels, typically speaking. However, as we were heading into the election, we were trying to figure out how we as Jones could do our part and decided that we really wanted to just encourage voting. And so we went out and secured consumer-generated artwork on the front. So at the front of our bottles, you'll see voter-themed artwork. And then on the back, we were able to partner with Voter Participation Center and put a QR code on the back of our bottle and have people literally within 2 minutes scan the QR code and figure out if they were registered to vote. And so it's been really, really interesting and super fun just to see how engaged people are right now, just with everything going on. And so it's been really, really great. We've gotten a ton of positive feedback. And just even as we go out and sample and just encourage people to try, we often tell people, go ahead and take one bottle for yourself and take another bottle to give to your friend to ensure that they're registered to vote. So it's been really great.
I like the idea of this sort of engagement and also making it not just social on social media, but as you mentioned, giving it to somebody else to physically get on board and vote as well. Now, obviously, there are a wide range of issues on the table, from social justice, there's civil unrest, social issues, and obviously with this being an election year, you have a lot more companies getting involved on that front. Why specifically was voter registration so important to your company and the customers that you serve?
Well, so a couple things. Number one, a big part of our consumer demographic is a young audience, so young people in general, and just mobilizing them to do their vote. As I said before, we consider ourselves the people's craft soda, and so as we start thinking about our positioning and who we are as the people's craft soda, how do we help enable people to really champion their voices and use our platform for them? And so it just seemed natural to really mobilize around voting, just given the year that we're having, for sure. And I think the other part of it, too, is we felt pretty importantly that we did not want to pick a side, and that we really wanted just to really inform people of the fact so they could just pick their voice and figure out how they kind of go and move on their own. So that was a pretty important part of our conversation as well.
And you did partner with a nonpartisan group on this project. In terms of any concerns that you have or the company has about weighing in on other issues, because we have become a lot more divided in the last few years, and people have, a lot of companies sort of feel convicted to take a side. For example, with things like Black Lives Matter, whether you're law and order or whether you claim to be all lives matter. How do companies still manage to do some good, but also navigate some of the hurdles that come with potentially having to pick a side?
Yeah, I mean, I think every initiative for sure has its own nuances. I think we just try, the way I always talk about it with our team and with our partners is we just really want to kind of put up a more positive light out there and just really enable movement and positivity. Prior to the vote initiative, we did a different initiative called Messages of Hope. And that was really about how people were expressing themselves in light of COVID. So think of that as hearts and windows, chalk art. And so I think in all of these things, as challenging as a year as it's been, I think there are moments of positivity and hope. And I think I take my job super seriously in that if I can help do that and help kind of show people that there is positivity out there, that's what we really try to enable Jones for. So again, just trying our best, like voting is just that, and just trying to put a positive spin. We just announced something, we're going to put more press behind it soon, that we're going to do an initiative in January called Unsung Heroes. And so talking about just all the great things people are doing in light of COVID. So, and there are a lot of amazing stories that I think we're all touched by. So we're in the middle of figuring out that too. So.
And you make a great point, because a lot of people are wondering, once we have this big push for voter registration for the elections, what are these companies going to do next? How are they going to keep these people engaged? So you tapped on yours. Anything that you'd like to see more companies getting on board doing as well?
I mean, I think really just telling people, yeah, I mean, it's a fine balance, right? Of like not being too preachy, but just encouraging. And really, I think the biggest thing we try to do is tap into what matters to consumers and then try to help provide the platform. And yet in doing that, there's a fine balance of picking a side and all that. So we just try our best to navigate that tightrope as best as we can, and yet with the lens of continuing to put more positivity out there for sure.